When old are they?
I have no idea. They might come in late. If I see them come in, I will let them in. We're going to start on page 109. So 109. 109. We are talking about contractions. And have you guys heard about contractions before? You've probably seen them before, yeah. They're probably in books that you read and stories you read, and even stories that we read. But a contraction combines two words into one, and it uses an apostrophe to show where a letter or letters have been removed. So look at the first example, cannot, can't. So the apostrophe there shows where NO has been removed because cannot has an extra NO right there, but they take it out and put an apostrophe. So it's just a shortened way to say these words. So this is what we're going to do. You guys are going to stay muted right now because it gets really echoey when we do this, but I want you to just read this list all the way down. You read it even though you're muted. I want you to read it in your room. Okay, so we're going to start right here. Ready, read. Cannot, can't, could not, couldn't, did not, didn't, do not, don't. He had, he'd, he would, he'd. It is, it's. She will, she'll. They are, there. Was not, wasn't. Okay, good. So hopefully you read those with me. This is showing, and all of this over here is just telling you where that apostrophe goes, what letter has been removed. All right, so in this book, they're going to forget the apostrophe just for you because they love you that much. Sydney's like, no, not buying it, not buying it. So they're going to have a sentence like this. This one, you can see the apostrophe is darker. That's because they're showing you, you would write it in. So the soldier didn't know that the princess had stolen his bag. So didn't is the contraction, and all you're going to do is put the apostrophe in. Okay, they're going to forget that part. You write it in. That's it. All right, let's move on. And how about Sydney? Can you read our sentence on page 111, please?
He sat helplessly on the damp grass and didn't move for a long time.
Awesome.
The apostrophe, the one that needs the apostrophe is driving me crazy.
Let's do it. Which one is it?
Didn't.
Didn't. And it goes between the N and the T. That's where the O was. I agree. Let's just take care of that first. Now, the vocabulary word is damp. Does anybody know what damp means? Damp. Declan.
Damp means to that it's like a little bit wet.
A little bit wet. That's a good way to explain it. Yes, a little bit wet. Good job. Check vocabulary. We got two articles. Go ahead and find those by yourself. You guys are good at those. A, and the words. All right. Two nouns, Trevor.
Grass and sat.
Nope, that's what he's doing. So that's going to be a verb. Look at A. That's one of the articles. Whenever you see an article, it means a noun is coming. In this one, it's not the next word, but it's coming. What word do you
Time.
think it is? There you go, time. So long is describing time, but that's a clue. Whenever you see those articles, that means a noun is coming. It's close. Yes, Declan?
Um, wouldn't time be a verb?
No, it's not a verb actually, because time is a thing. So if you look at the time on the clock, or it is time to do your homework, time is going to be a noun, especially the way it is in this sentence with a long time. Yeah. Maybe sometimes time changes to something else, but oh, if you use it like I will time you in the race, that could be a verb actually. So you know how some words change their function? So, but in this one, it's definitely functioning as a noun. That's a good point though, Declan. All right. A pronoun. How about that, Sydney? Where's the pronoun?
The pronoun is um, he.
Good. And how about Trevor, the adjectives? Look at the nouns and look for which one, how many, or what kind.
Damp,
Yes.
move,
That's going to be a verb. So look at the word time. And right before that, it's going to tell what kind of time is it?
long,
Yeah, long time. That's a clue for those adjectives. Some students, I'm not saying you guys, but some students struggle with finding those adjectives. Look for the nouns first and then look before it. A lot of times it's before it, describing the noun. Sometimes it's after, so it's not, it's before. Declan, what about the ly adverb?
Helplessly.
Good, helplessly. Since that was so short, how about you do the coordinating conjunction too? That's the fanboys word, remember?
For.
Not for in this one. It's remember, coordinating conjunctions
Yeah.
are joining parts of the sentence together.
And.
There you go. And CC. This word for, just to give you a clue, is going to be a preposition because for sometimes functions as either one. And this one is functioning as a preposition. So I just gave it away. But Sydney, where are the prepositional phrases?
Prepositional phrases. I
Uh-huh.
already found one, and it's on the damp grass.
That's one.
I'm looking for the other. Where?
I was just explaining it. We know that move is not going to be a preposition. Sat is not a preposition. Didn't is not a preposition.
I want to say and, but like I'm
No,
looking on here and there is no and.
there is and, but that's not the preposition. Do you see for? For is actually a preposition. Sometimes it's a coordinating conjunction, but in this sentence, because there's no verb next to it, after it. So what
That's
is it?
the coordinating conjunction.
So it's not a coordinating conjunction. It is a preposition. Do you see why?
Yeah,
What's the whole prepositional phrase?
for a long time.
There you go. And if you notice, a is an article, long is an adjective, time is a noun. There's no verb there after the preposition. That's how you know that's a prepositional phrase. They don't have any verbs after it. All right. Normally we find the verbs next, but I just wanted to see if you guys could do that next. You did good. So Trevor, where are the verbs then? And by the way, it really quick, it says one subject verb pair. That just means there's only one subject, but there's multiple verbs in here. So go ahead, Trevor.
didn't,
The did part of didn't, yes.
move,
Yep. One more.
time,
No, time's a noun. It can only function one way.
sat,
There you go, sat. That's what he's doing. All right, now, Declan, who is the subject of the sentence?
He.
Yes, good. He sat. helplessly on the damp grass and didn't move for a long time. So he's doing those two things. Capital, that's easy peasy cheesy. End mark, easy peasy cheesy. And we already fixed the apostrophe, so we're done. So even though, let me go back to this really quick, even though for is one of the fanboys words, since after that there wasn't any verbs, that's not going to be functioning as a coordinating conjunction. It's functioning as a preposition. That's a tricky one because it's on both lists. All right, you guys, go ahead and put away your grammar. And get out your binders. You guys finished up your paper about Antarctica. Does anybody want to share your paper about Antarctica? Learned all kinds of cool stuff about that. Yes, Sydney, good. Anybody else want to share today? No, you're like, no, it's good. All right, Sydney, it's all you today.
Okay.
Do you have it in front of you?
Yes, I literally whenever before 5 minutes before class, I just I put all my stuff together.
Good job.
I literally have everything.
Good job. And you have a new title for your paper too, huh?
Yeah,
So-
the title is Mysteries of Antarctica.
Awesome. Okay, go for it.
Antarctica is interesting and has extremely thick ice. Most of it is covered in ice and snow. Did you know that Antarctica is a desert? It is because it gets 4 inches of snow, rain, rain, rain and snow. Whoops. Each year, it is the largest desert in the world, which is fascinating in my opinion. Antarctica has snow, ice sheets, and glaciers. The estimate of frost in 90 is 90% from Antarctica. The Antarctica is very interesting and awesome. Antarctica is a hard place to live or survive because it is so cold. There are very few plants and animals. In Antarctica, some are at the coast, like the penguins and petrels. The only mammals there are seals and whales, which migrate to warmer climate. Birds that live in Antarctica soar to the north regions for the winter. In Antarctica, only two flowers amazingly survive. Antarctica is a cold and fascinating place. Antarctica has the coldest weather in the world. Temperatures reach below negative 89.2 degrees Celsius. When blizzards happen, old snowfall comes down from the mountains because Antarctica is a desert. It doesn't get fresh snow or rain. The force of the Antarctic winds is 100 miles per hour. Interestingly, there are 6 months of summer there. In Antarctica, there is no spring or summer, which is intriguing. Antarctica is a very fascinating place in the world.
Excellent, Sydney. Woohoo! Excellent job. I
Thank
love
you.
it. Very good. Lots of great dress ups in there. Lots of topic clinchers and really good vocabulary words. Yes. You're getting all kinds of woohoos. Yay. That's awesome. Okay. Now, if you're finished with Antarctica, I want you to put that away in your finished binder or folder, whatever you're keeping your finished work in, because we're not going to do any more with Antarctica. So you can put that away. And then you're going to get out the next week, which is Marco Polo. Has anybody ever played that game in the swimming pool before? Marco Polo. Yeah, me too. I've done it a lot. It's pretty fun.
I
Um,
play in the pool with my cousins.
it's fun. I like that game. And then you have like fish out of water.
Yes, we just don't go in the deep end because I have to take my goggles off.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You don't want to play it in the deep end, keep it in the shallow end.
Yeah, because
But
I don't have my goggles.
yeah. Did you guys know that it's actually a real person in history, Marco Polo? That's the thing maybe you didn't know, but it is. It's a real person who lived in history, and we're going to learn about this guy. So make sure you get out a lined piece of paper too. You need a lined piece of paper. And we're going to start by taking some notes. So let's put your line paper on top here. So this week, instead of writing about a place or an animal, remember we wrote about the deserts, we wrote about the desert reptiles, and we wrote about Antarctica. Those are all places and animals and things, and we're summarizing a reference. Remember how we've been learning how to do that, how to summarize a reference. We're going to do that about a person this time. This is the first time that we're doing a person. So go ahead and put your name here. And the date today is 2/12/26. And skip a line and put Marco Polo, KWO. A lot of times when you write about a person, it's called a biography. I don't know if you've heard about that word before, but a biography is basically telling about a person's life. And there are books and books and books about people and a whole biography. And we're gonna only keep it to just a few paragraphs writing about this person, but he has lots of books out there about his life. Go ahead and skip a line here, and then we're gonna put Roman numeral 1. We're gonna set up Roman numeral 1. We're gonna take this lesson in two parts, like we've been doing lately. And we're going to just focus on the first paragraph this week. Okay. Yes, Declan.
I just noticed that there's like almost 4 pages of this. How are we
Yes.
gonna do this? Are we gonna have to like take 3 classes to do this?
No, we're not. You'll see. That's a good question, though. This is clincher. I misspelled it there. Clincher. And then make sure you write topic up here. But you're right. The article is really long. And that's why we're breaking it up into 2 weeks because it's going to take us a little bit to read the article. But you're right. Instead of it being like short articles, like when we did desert reptiles, we had like 3 short articles, right? One about the Sahara sand viper, one about the Mojave rattlesnake, and one about the Gray's monitor. They were short. And we did 3 paragraphs, one of each. And then last time with the Antarctica, it was one article is longer, but we only had one article. We had to figure out the topics. And this one's even longer. So
Are we
that's
gonna
all
have
we're going to
to
put on the
figure
front
out
here.
the topics again?
I'm going to talk to you about that right now. So this is your keyword outline. Turn it over to the back. Before we start filling this in, we're going to turn it over to the back. At the top of your page, I want you to write summarizing. It's a big word. I'll zoom in a second. A reference. Summarizing a reference. That is what we're still working on doing in this unit. Remember that word summarizing. Remember when we talked about SUM and how that's like math. If you have what is the sum of 2 plus 3, you would say 5. That's the sum, that's the total. But that's not the sum we're talking about in writing. Remember, I want you to write SOME. We're telling some information, like we're reading a bunch of pages, like Declan said, but we're only going to tell some of it. Can't tell the whole thing because that would be like repeating everything. And that's boring, number one. And number two, it's plagiarism if you just copy somebody else's work, right? You can't do that. So,
Why
step
don't
number
we
one.
just do a one of our own, and then it would be some arising.
Yeah, if we made up our own word, it would be
Yeah, some
summarizing.
arising.
So the first thing you need to know when you're summarizing a reference, the first thing you need to know is your subject. This week, I want you to put a little equal sign here, and we're going to put Marco Polo. We know our subject already. It's Marco Polo. It's a person. Okay, so write this down, Declan. Make sure you're taking notes. Number 2, after you know what your subject is, we have to figure out the possible topics. So we're going to list possible topics. And the way we do that is like we did with Antarctica. We're going to read this long article today, and we're going to take notes on the side. Remember how we did that? We took notes on the side, like the ice in Antarctica, the weather, the plants and animals, and the people. We're going to do that with Marco Polo. It's going to be different topics, but we're going to figure out what are these paragraphs about. That becomes our list of possible topics. And then from there, number 3, we're going to choose one topic. For the first paragraph, we choose one. We look at the list. We go, okay, I'm going to start with this one. And then number 4, you write your KWO. That's your key word outline. And you're going to look at the paragraph that talks about that topic, just like you did with Antarctica. And then take your notes in your keyword outline, all your keywords. Okay, Declan, you need to stop playing around, okay? Number 5, after that, is write your paragraph. Write paragraph. So those are the 5 steps in summarizing a reference. You got to know what your subject is. Got to list your possible topics and then choose one. Write your KWO, write your paragraph. Now, I want you to put a little bracket like this, like a little arrow between 3, 4, and 5, like this, okay? Do a little arrow in the margin. So 1 and 2, those are done, right? Once we finish those are done. But this part, 3, 4, and 5, you actually repeat for each paragraph. So if it's a 3-paragraph report, you're going to do 3, 4, 5 3 times. Choose a topic, write your KWO, write your paragraph. That's 1 paragraph. Choose the second topic, write your KWO, write your second paragraph. Choose a third topic, write your KWO, write your third paragraph. Okay, that's the pattern. We know what our subject is, Marco Polo. Now we need to go ahead and skip a line and write possible topics. That's the next step. What are the possible topics? So now we need to go to our paper about Marco Polo. So go to page 99. We're going to start reading about this guy. And we got to figure out what are our possible topics. We're going to see what those paragraphs are about. And we're going to start making a list. So I'm going to read. And this time, you don't have to underline anything yet. I just want you to listen. And then we'll decide together what we think each paragraph is mostly talking about, just like we did with Antarctica. Okay, so it starts off by saying, in 1254, by the way, that's a date. Today is 2026. This is like almost 800 years ago. 800 years ago. Yeah, long time ago. So he's not alive anymore. In 1254, Marco Polo was born into a rich merchant family. His father and uncle had traded in the Middle East for years, gaining wealth and fame. Although his mother died when he was young, he was raised in Venice, Italy by relatives. He received a good education and learned the skills necessary for the business of trade. His father and uncle left for China when he was 6 and returned when he was 15. They had met the Mongol emperor who sent his greetings to the Pope. All right, let's talk about that just for a second. First of all, do you guys know who the Pope is? The Pope is a leader in the Catholic Church, like worldwide leader of the Catholic Church. There's only one pope at a time. And he's the guy that wears that big funny white hat and a robe. I don't know if you've ever seen him before on TV, okay, or on the internet. He's that guy. He has like a big cross and okay, so he's in Italy. He lives in Italy, and that's where Marco Polo was raised. And so, by the way, it's super sad that his mom died, but they sent him to Italy because he had relatives there. Maybe it was a grandma and grandpa, aunt and uncle that raised him. But when his dad and his uncle went to China, in China, they have an emperor. That's like the president of the country. Like we have a president for the United States of America. In China, they call it an emperor. He's the guy in charge of the whole country. And his name, or this is like Mongol emperor, that's what he was called. Okay. So he was sending a message back to the Pope in Italy through his dad and uncle. That's what was happening. And by the way, they were a rich family, and merchant is buying and selling goods. It's like a business. So they had a business buying and selling things, and they got rich. So what do you think this paragraph is mostly talking about? What would you say? Any ideas? I mean, it talks about when he was born.
Um, maybe we should name this paragraph like probably like beginning or something like that.
Beginning, yeah. I have an idea. What if we call it like early life? It's like his childhood, right? Early life is like his younger life. But I like that. It's like the beginning. It's like when he was born, a little bit about his family, that his mom died and he had to live in Italy, and his dad and his uncle went to China. So it's talking about like early on in his life. Okay, good. Let's look at the next one. When Marco was 17 years old, he left with his father and uncle on a trip across Asia to China. They set off from Venice, Rome. In Jerusalem, they were given some sacred oil to present to the Mongol emperor. So again, they're going back to China. It's customary in these days to give gifts to the person who's running the country. So they were giving gifts to the emperor. Two friars. Now, friars are people in the Catholic Church, and they are other leaders, other types of leaders in the Catholic Church. And they were ordered to go accompany the merchants, but they abandoned the expedition. That just means they went for a little bit and then they left. They had other things to do, I guess, so they left. Instead of sailing around India to China, the Polos decided on an overland route. Passing through Iran and then Afghanistan, they continued east. The Polos caravan traveled over mountains and through deserts, following the oasis. Hey, we know about those. After more than 3 years of travel, they finally reached the court of the Emperor Kublai Khan. That's his name, Kublai Khan. He is the emperor. So back when we wrote about deserts, remember the Gobi Desert? Gobi Desert is in Asia. That's the one they're talking about across the deserts. That's in Asia. Yes, Declan?
I think that we should name this paragraph like traveling or something like that because it talks a lot about them traveling.
I agree with that. Travel. Thank you for that. Let's put travel to China. Did you have another idea?
Travelers?
Or travelers? Yeah. Well, we know we're talking about Marco Polo, but I think you could say travelers to China. That would work as long as you put like to China. That was their goal. They were trying to get to China. They started out sailing on a ship, it sounds like, and then they decided to go across the land. It's probably because, and I'm going to show you a map in a little bit. It's probably because sailing all the way around it would have taken longer, but they chose to go across the land. It still took them 3 years to get there. Long time. Okay, go ahead and go to the back of that. This is a long article, so hang in there with me. The great Khan was delighted to see the Polo brothers again. He received with joy the letters and gifts they brought. Discovering that young Marco was intelligent and had a talent for languages, the Khan appointed him to high posts in the government, probably as tax collector. So I'm going to pause there for a second. So he saw in this young kid, he's like 17, or maybe he's 20 by now because they traveled for 3 years. So he's probably 20. That's still young. And this emperor goes, man, you're pretty smart. I need you to help me in my government. And so he probably put him in charge of the money, which was part of being a tax collector. Taxes is money, right? And so he was in charge of the money in the country. That's pretty crazy. Okay, I'm going to keep going. He also went on special missions for the Khan, traveling throughout China and to Burma and India. His father and uncle possibly assisted as military advisors during the siege of Saianfu. During this time, Marco and his family gained wealth as well as favor and the protection of the Khan. Okay, so some things are happening here. They all got jobs. They've got Marco's in charge of the money, and then his dad and his uncle are working for the military now. And do you guys know what that word favor means? Favor? Declan?
Favor means like not loving someone, but like loving what they do.
Kind of. It's more like a blessing, if you know what a blessing is. When you receive favor, it's like you get promoted in your job, or maybe you something goes really well for you in your life. That's what favor means. And it's like not normal stuff. It's like above, like this. Like they just showed up to greet him, and all of a sudden he goes, "You know what? You're so smart. I'm going to put you in charge of money. And you guys, I trust you. I'm going to put you in charge of my military." So it's like a surprise, but a blessing for them to have that. And they gained wealth. And they were protected by the Khan. Okay, I'm gonna
think
go
then
ahead.
you should name this the Khan.
The Khan, maybe. I'm
Yeah,
thinking about it's
because
almost
like
talking to, oh, go
talk
ahead.
a lot of the Khan.
Yeah. What do you think, Sydney? You got an idea?
Like, got jobs?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. I know Khan is a big part of this paragraph, but it's about their jobs. Maybe we could call it like work in China because they did get work
Or
there.
jobs for the Khan.
Yeah, you could put that if that's what you want to put, Declan. I'm okay with that. So your list might look a little bit different if you guys have another way you want to put that. But we're looking for possible topics. So we're going to make our list here in a minute. But all right, one more paragraph on this page. The Polos remained in service to the Khan for 17 years. When they decided to leave, he asked them to escort a Mongol princess to Persia, where she would marry. They departed with 14 ships, the princess, and many hundreds of servants and sailors. Sailing south, they rounded Malay and the southern tip of India to finally land at Hormuz in Persia. The journey took 2 years, and most of the passengers and crew died from disease, drowning, or pirate attacks. After delivering the princess, they continued by land to the Black Sea, from where they were able to sail home, reaching Venice in 1295. They had been gone for 24 years and traveled almost 15,000 miles or 24,000 kilometers. Whoa, that was a long trip. What do you guys think? What should we call this one?
trip.
The trip. Where were they going in this paragraph? They were already in China.
Going home?
They were going home.
You say it. Cruise.
I'm going to call it travel home because they're going back to Italy now. But you could put trip home or whatever makes sense to you guys on that one. Okay. I'm going to pause right here for a minute and let's go back to our note page here. Oops, not that one. Where's my other one? Where we have our possible topics list. Hold on, how did I? Oh, here it is. Like, where'd it go? This one. Let's make our list now. The first one was early life. It talked about his early life. So we're going to make our list here, okay? Early life is the first one. What was the second paragraph about? Trevor, what was the second paragraph about? We got early life was the first paragraph. What was the second paragraph about? Got it? Looks like you're looking to figure out how to unmute. Are you having trouble unmuting? Can you tell us what the second paragraph was about?
Sorry, my picture went away, so I couldn't see anything.
Oh, I was wondering what was going on.
Uh,
We have early life.
Travel to China.
There we go. Travel to China. What was the next paragraph about, Declan?
For me, I did jobs for the con.
Jobs for the con, or I think for mine, I put work in China. So whatever you guys wrote for that next paragraph. And then Sydney, what about the next paragraph?
Travel home.
Travel home or trip home or however you guys wrote that. Okay, good. So we're making our list here. Write all those down, however you have them labeled on your paper. And then there's one more page to go in the article. So let's look at that last page. Just this one here. All right. This is page 101. So in addition to
Hey,
various
Mama.
go ahead and mute, Trevor. In addition to various valuable trade items, the Polos brought back to Italy many interesting spices, including peppercorns, cinnamon, and ginger, which quickly gained in popularity. So they brought back spices that weren't there. These are different spices than they had. 3 years after his return to Venice, Marco Polo was fighting in a war against the rival city of Genoa. He was captured and sent to a prison in Genoa. There, with help from a well-known author named Rustichello, he wrote a book of his travels. He described Kublai Khan and his palaces, paper money, coal, a postal service, and eyeglasses, none of which had been seen in Europe yet. After a year in prison, the war was over, and he was free to return to Venice. Eventually, he married, had 3 daughters, and continued as a successful merchant until his death in 1324 at age 70. What do you think? What can we call this paragraph? You guys got any ideas? Sydney, what do you think?
Late life, since we have early life.
Yeah, late life. I like that. What do you think, Declan?
Well, I think that I agree with Sydney, late life, but also um I accidentally switched the 101 because I thought that this was 100. So I put jobs for the con for the
Uh-oh.
one and traveling for the last one.
Okay, you're gonna have to cross it out and fix that. Okay, because you're gonna confuse yourself next week when you go to write this. Or
Well,
erase it if it's pencil.
okay.
Yeah, you got to fix it. I'm gonna put later life, but if you like late life, that's fine. But later in his life, that's what this is talking about. I like that. That's a good idea. And then the last one, the book entitled Description of the World or The Travels of Marco Polo sold well and widely. However, many people didn't believe his stories, and the book got the nickname The Million Lies. At that time, books had to be hand copied, so it is possible that his stories were changed over the years. Nevertheless, people were amazed at the things he wrote. 2 centuries later, the book inspired Christopher Columbus to think he could reach India by sailing west from Europe. On his deathbed, Polo was asked to admit that parts of his book were just made up. He answered that he had only told, quote, barely half of what he actually saw. Interesting, huh? Such new things for Europe. They had never seen those spices. They've never seen eyeglasses before. They never seen, postal services, like all those things he brought back. And he said, this is what it's like over there in China. This is what they're doing over there. They didn't believe him. What do you think this paragraph? What do you think, Trevor? What can we call this one? What was it mostly about?
Like his book?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I would call it, his book. Declan?
I would call it the book.
Okay, you could put the book. That's fine too. It's pretty much talking about his book. I think it's funny that people didn't believe it. And then when they asked him, did you lie? He's like, I barely even told you half. All right. Let's add these to our list. Possible topics here. Later life. Oops, I keep pulling up somebody else's. That's not this one. Hold on. Later life and book. All right, now. And book. Okay. So we're going to focus on the first paragraph, but this is the next step. See, we did 1 and 2 already. We know it's about Marco Polo. We got our list of topics. Now we choose one. But here's the thing. Whenever you write about a person like this, it's important to introduce the person and give a little background to who he is. So we're going to all start with early life. So go ahead and circle early life. That's what we're going to focus on for the first paragraph. So turn your page over. And on this side next to Roman numeral 1, we're going to put M with a circle and P with a circle for Marco Polo. You can circle it up here to remind you. MP is going to be Marco Polo. And you're going to talk about his early life or his childhood. This is the topic we're using for this paragraph. So let's put early life. And we're going to do one more word here. If you could sum up, like summarize his life, his early life in one word. Can you think of a word we could put here to kind of talk about his early life? Is there something that comes to mind, Declan?
Plentiful.
Plentiful? Yeah. Remember his early life, if you look back on that first paragraph, I don't know. Remember you're right about plentiful. They had wealth and a good education, and he had the skills. So that's true. It was plentiful. But there was something tragic that happened in his life. What was that?
His
Remember,
mama died.
his mama died, and then he had to go to Italy, another country, um, to get help, right? To have other people raise him. So that part was difficult. So you could put plentiful, but you also kind of have to talk somewhere in the paragraph about how difficult it was too. So anybody else have a different word?
Maybe we could do like one of the squiggly lines for the about and then plentiful. So it was
Yeah.
about plentiful.
Yeah. Any other ideas of a word we could put here representing his life, his early life? Because later in his life, he did a bunch of stuff. Sydney, what do you think?
Difficult?
Yeah, I think that would be a good one. It was kind of both, huh, Declan? It was plentiful and difficult. He was blessed with a lot of money, but it was difficult because of his family situation. So whatever word you want to put here, go ahead and write it in. And then go back to page 99 where we wrote early life. And then I'm going to have you put a box around this top paragraph right here. Just the first paragraph. So it ends right here after Pope. That's the end of that paragraph. So you're going to look for your 5 facts. There's not a lot in here, but you're going to find 5 facts about Marco Polo's early life. And you're going to list it here, 1 through 5 on Roman numeral 1. So I'm going to give you guys just a few minutes to start doing this by yourself. Look at the sentences and figure out how are you going to make notes here. Remember, you can only use 3 key words, but you can use numbers, symbols, and abbreviations for free. So I'm going to give you some time right now, a few minutes to work on this. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. You're only going to use this paragraph, early life, for this paragraph, for this keyword outline. Okay, go ahead and finish up the word you're working on. I made one while you guys were working too. So I had 1254 born, $ merchant family. Mom died MP young. You got to make sure to identify that it was him that was young. It wasn't that his mom died when she was young. It was that he was the young one. Raised relatives Italy, learned skills trade. F and U, that would be father and uncle. F plus U. China, they went to China when MP was 6, and then I did a backwards arrow, like they returned when he was 15. And then F plus U met Emperor. So those are my ideas. You might have something similar to that. So let's look at your checklist really quick. It's going to be on page 103. All right, so the topic clincher is still here. It's going to be here until the end of this class. So make sure you don't forget that. And you can either highlight those words or bold, or if you're handwriting it, you could put a box around those words if you don't have a highlighter. So those are going to be in the first and last sentences of each paragraph. And then you've got these dress ups here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. ly adverb, who, which clause, strong verb, because clause. And then these you need to watch out for, because I don't want you to use any of these banned words, especially go went, because you don't want to say they went to China. Don't say went, okay? Or They saw the emperor or something like that. We don't want to use any of these banned words. Okay, any questions about your assignment this week? You're going to finish up your keyword outline. And then we're going to write one paragraph. And then next week, we'll pick it up from there. Okay? You guys did great today. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Wait.
Bye.
Bye. Declan, do you want to say something?
Yes. Is anybody going to the skate day today?
The skate day today.
Anybody in my Visalia?
There's a Christian skate day right now.
Oh, Trevor's going. Are you going, Trevor? In Visalia? There you go.
Oh.
You guys can see each other.
I live in Bakersfield.
Oh, yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye, you guys. See you next week. Bye.